So Mojang was trending on Twitter yesterday, and you might have the question of exactly why. Did they maybe announce the next big update? And although they did talk about 1.21, the actual reason, as best I can tell, was actually this tweet saying Mojang is segregating blocks now, where as you can see, they have officially got a colored blocks tab, which is separated from the other tabs. And that is the entire point, it seems. There is also a second thing that went viral regarding modders will make stuff like this for a shitpost, and then Mojang will hire the Aphid guy to make a poll to see if you want a giraffe or a garden gnome in next year's update. And it does have to be said, this is absolutely wild. This is the sort of thing you see all the time from modders, and although it's just meant to make you question what the heck's going on with these minecarts, it is a seriously impressive amount of stuff added to the game solely as a joke, whereas people working full-time have issues working on the game. However, to give full credit to Kingbdogz, he responded to this silly post by saying, what would you guys prefer, a garden gnome or a giraffe? And as you can see, the garden gnome is slightly winning this vote, even though personally I would have voted for the giraffe. It seems as though the garden gnome is obviously not happening. It has to be said, this is always a joke, and I really like a Minecraft developer that can actually joke with the community. Something that does need to be really dove into right here is the fact that unlike most Minecraft developers, Kingbdogz is not afraid to actively look at criticism of Mojang and take it on board and respond to it accordingly, and I think that is a really important thing. And I do have to say that his response to this really interesting point here, which is then explain how a single modder can develop a wild update mod in under 2 months without any game-breaking bugs and more content than any of your updates ever had. And he actually responds by saying, before I joined Mojang, I was a modder for 10 years on Minecraft. I developed the Aphid as well as many other mods, you know, let's be honest, bigger than Minecraft updates. I have gone into detail about why game development takes longer many times, but at this point, I hope you trust coming from a modder, modding is far easier. And one of the points that he basically has raised before is that every feature has to be developed twice, once for Bedrock, once for Java. Every feature has to be carefully considered, carefully bug fixed, and carefully made sure it's on all those platforms. There's just so much overhead when working with a big game that's going to roll out to 100 million people versus a mod that maybe 1,000 or 10,000 people will play. It's a big difference in development that a lot of modders have even backed him up on saying. Speaking of Minecraft updates though, this is Q&A Saturday and I haven't got a single question yet, so that one person who does not know what to upload says 1.21 is 100% a big update. Mojang is just taking some time, and interestingly enough, we actually had that confirmed this week. I mean, most people weren't doubting it, but now you know definitively that 1.21 will be a brand new big update, just like you thought. However, there may be other updates like 1.20.1 with additional features similar to how the Piglin Brute came out after the main Nether update, confirming what has been said about Minecraft in the past, which is that they tend to plan 2 or 3 updates into the future so they can have a good idea as to what's coming down the line and what might interact well with existing features. And so yeah, 1.21 is planned as a big update, but obviously we're going to hear about that after 1.20, which is of course the important thing. And MagmaCube Zone says, is 1.20 a lore update? It would kind of explain the whole self-expression thing and the whole randomness of what has been announced so far, and the Vex texture change getting some lore. And yeah, it honestly does seem as though Minecraft 1.20 is adding lore, but I think that's just a key part of storytelling. People like to tell stories, and those stories can be inside the game itself in the form of books or in the form of signs, etc., but they can also be in the form of gathering details from across the world. Some of those pieces of detail are really obvious, like, well, I mean, a villager literally turns into a zombie villager when he's bitten by a zombie, so all of the zombie villagers you find in the wild used to be villagers, you can assume. Some of those are somewhat obvious via the textures, with stuff like the allays and the Vexes having very similar textures now, and some of those things are left as full mysteries. I mean, what's going on with the deep dark portal? What's going on with the abandoned mine shafts? Why are they abandoned? Wasn't there going to be a dude who was going to live here and you could find him and he'd give you stuff? Where's he at right now? I mean, Minecraft is a beautiful game for storytelling because it is a true sandbox, so the goal is to give you as much of your own expression tools as you can. And yeah, the kind of from John Lepascas, which says, so it isn't going to be called the community update then? This update does seem like it's very community focused. There's a lot of quality of life features, that's 100% sure, but no, it's not going to be called the community update. I can give you a 99.99% assurance. I've heard the bits and bobs update, I've heard the bug, I've heard lots of update titles for this, but the point is that although they know the theme, they're going to come up with a title that neatly packages it together. I mean, the wild update really wasn't that wild by the end. If they had named it towards the end, they could have called it the Mud and Blood update and managed expectations a lot better. So yeah, that is one of the big reasons for it. However, I agree with Lava Boat Cube supports Ukraine, UA, who says, when are we going to get the operator blocks in the creative inventory on Bedrock? Because this is one of the biggest irks I have about 1.20 so far. They are doing a pretty good job of adding camels and signs, and they're making them really really decently the same between platforms. They have exactly the same features. However, they are also adding a whole bunch of Java exclusives because they're redoing the creative menu. That's right, they're adding new tabs, new features. It's honestly a lot better than it used to be, including brand new blocks that are findable in that creative menu. And what's really, really strange to me is the fact that they look at this and they say, yep, this is actually a Java only thing that needs to happen because the creative menu is different on Java and Bedrock. Isn't that the point of parity? When you update something, you update it on both so that it's now the same as opposed to being two separate systems. And what annoys me most about this, because you could argue that like, well, Bedrock needs to have a different creative menu to Java because obviously people are playing on their, their phones, so it needs to be accessible by touch. But the Java menu looks so much easier to use by touch than the Bedrock one. Why don't they use this as an opportunity to bring those features from Java to Bedrock? I don't understand how this is a big update where they're focusing so heavily on parity and then they miss something as big as that. Anyway, yeah, if you're curious, by the way, the new blocks they've added, including, by the way, Ender Dragon spawners, make people like MJ plays Blockette. What does that name mean, by the way? Anyway, they say, wait, you can make Ender Dragon spawners then? And you know what? Let me find out. Yes, you can, although it only really works once. So is that an Ender Dragon spawner, or is that just a spawn egg with extra steps? You tell me. But yeah, the Ender Dragon likes to destroy things that aren't Endstone, Obsidian, and Bedrock. Now you know. Speaking of things that you now know, the next one here is Vitaly, who says, hey Toycat, have you considered rounding up a bunch of friends and starting a new SMP Let's Play? Here's the deal, I'm not a big SMP guy, and the reason why I'm not, because a lot of people love when you take two things you like and combine them together. That's why we have Oreo milkshakes, or whatever those weird BTS chicken nugget meals were. People love to see two things that they really like combined together, and so people like games and they like being social, and what is better than both those things individually? Being social while playing games. But personally, that is not my attitude towards games. I like games as a retreat from the social world. Sometimes I'll listen to a podcast, but I'm certainly not speaking back at the podcast. That's not what I enjoy. And so yeah, the idea of doing that isn't actively fun to me. It sounds like a lot of work. Like, I guess you could make some new friends doing a SMP Minecraft thing, but yeah, that just sounds like a terrible idea. On this channel, I really like to focus on the solo Minecraft experience. A lot of people get really distracted by like, ooh, funny moments of friends, and that is really great for those people, and some people clearly enjoy it, but it's just not what I do. This is a channel about people who like to play survival, maybe sometimes to its limits, but mostly having a fun time doing a game by yourself and maybe some ideas along the way. Speaking of ideas along the way, mtaco68 says, don't you think by making your own ideal superflat, you've generated money for Mojang, therefore reinforcing the idea of Mojang never adding features when their community could do it and make money for them? And this is actually a little bit of an ethical dilemma. I mean, if you look at the Java edition with no marketplace, they have all sorts of world customization options and game rules that just don't exist on the Bedrock edition, because if you want those things, I guess you could pay for them instead. And yeah, therefore by making a better superflat, why would Mojang add that thing themselves? Because now they're saving themselves time and money. And I do actually think this is a big issue with features that are really hotly wanted by the community. Hardcore, for example, is a feature everyone wants, but right now you have to pay money for because it's only available via community-made maps. I think there should be, maybe some, because right now you can't make a 1.21 map, even if you want to. You can't claim to add those features to the game. You can give them away for free, but you can't sell them. Mojang should have a roadmap of what they're planning over the next couple of years. Obviously we know every year they make a Minecraft update, but what about new game mode stuff? What about new world generation stuff? All these sorts of weird things should be on some roadmap, and then you can't market your map based on those particular things. That would be pretty cool. I think for my particular map's case, like 99.99999% of sales on the marketplace are things that aren't my map. I mean, it's a very tiny rounding error for them, and it also has all sorts of things that Mojang couldn't add to the flat world type. It's a custom world with structures, with biomes, with like actual trades that you could never make the crafting recipe for an end portal in a normal world. So it's just meant to be the flat world experience, but much better in ways that you couldn't otherwise add. And I think that's something that every marketplace map should be aspiring for. Let's not just make the thing as it might exist in Minecraft. Let's make a much more fun experience for a one-time world. And I think if more creators did that, we'd have a better marketplace filled with less just it's hardcore and more, what if we could go harder than hardcore? What if instead of just adding the deep dark dimension, you know that's a thing people want to see, we added a whole bunch of different dimensions? I think every Minecraft marketplace map should be doing much better. And by the way, in case you're curious, like, oh yeah, I released a new map this week. It's called Ultra Flat Survival. Yeah, one of the questions people have is like, wait, this costs 660 mine coins. Could the map be free? That would be really cool. And sadly, not actually. You cannot release a map on the marketplace and make it free without special Microsoft permission. You literally cannot give away your marketplace map for free. One more time to repeat that, it is very important. Only Microsoft can sanction the giving away of free marketplace maps. The reasons behind this are interesting because it means there are higher quality standards on free marketplace maps than ones that cost money, but it's a little bit of a weird part of the system, I guess. Anyway, one more thing here is coming in from the Turnip, and this is a response to the house tour. I did a house tour last week, if you're curious as to what my house in the UK looks like, and the Turnip says, man has 4 toilets in his house. Are you preparing for a big family, or are you just always throwing parties? And it is funny because, a lot of people commented on me having 4 toilets, and it does sound like it's a lot. However, I'd like to point out, one, that actually 4 isn't so many. It's 1 guest toilet for when people come around for a party. It's a guest bathroom so that people can shower. It's a bathroom for me personally, so I don't have to share with anyone. And then it's a bathroom for my plumber, who actually just moved out, by the way, but it's a bathroom for the random stranger I have living in my house. And 2, I'd like to just point out that actually I didn't build the house, I just bought it, and for some reason they configured it with all those toilets. It only came with 2 by default, and I guess they assumed they could make more money renting rooms out to people with the extra bathrooms, so that's the official reason, and now you know why I have so many bathrooms in my house. What you might not know though is I am going to be doing Streammas again this year. That's right, a stream from December 1st to December 24th, pretty much every single day I'm going to be streaming over here on this channel. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and you can join me for those by subscribing to the channel, perhaps with those notifications turned on. Also, tomorrow on Sunday, I'm going to be reattempting the Minecraft But I'm a Gamer challenge, and so I look forward to seeing you there. Unless I don't see you there, in which case, I guess I don't care, because I'll see you in the next one, you bear.